Hello and welcome to another episode of the Soprano podcast. I am your host, and my name is Heidi, and I am slowly but surely recovering from this allergy attack that I've had. So now I'm in the phase where, like, my voice is kind of weirdly low and comfortably low. New band name, Comfortably Low. Don't steal it. I'm literally gonna make a band, Comfortably Low. If you're hearing something in the background, you are not mistaken. I don't necessarily care about copyright stuff, and I think it's nice to have music on, and I'm also kind of multitasking right now because this is actually a faculty concert that is being streamed right now by my alma mater, Fredonia University, and John Bacon, Kieran Hanlon, and Nick Weiser are playing. I don't know who the faculty professor is for saxophone, but just look up their concert and I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. They don't have any description, I believe. Yeah, so it's just faculty recital, jazz faculty collective. I wanna see it live, you know, and I also need to record the podcast because it's almost 9:00. And yeah, you guys, how's it going? I really want so badly to just have interaction with you guys. I'm so grateful that there's a small handful of people who we've got like a little friend group going, you guys. We're like a little circle. And I wish we could communicate in real time. So I hope that in the future, if I can ever conquer my fear of live streaming and just start streaming on Twitch, that you guys will all hop over there and be there to chat with, because I just think that it's so interesting to be able to have a real-time conversation and just have a sense of community and just be there and, you know, hang out. Like, I feel like I want to ask you guys questions. You know, I feel like I'm talking to someone. Like, I don't feel like when I do these podcasts that I'm just talking to myself. I really do feel like I'm talking to you. Like, and I mean that, and it sounds so strange, but like when I do a podcast, I'm like, like I have a feeling in my mind that I'm like gonna call one of my friends, or like that I'm gonna sit down and have coffee with someone. Like, that's the feeling. So I think it'll just be really cool, like if there could be like a chat room happening at the same time as this podcast, or if there could be something else going on that we could all interact with. I think that'd be really sick. So, that was a nice piece. I think it's by, they mentioned the composer Maria Schneider. Cool last name. But yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be someone talking, so I'm gonna turn this down really quick. But that was a really nice piece. Loved it. Cool. So what are you guys doing right now? You know, what's the scoop? What's the deal? I just had a really long FaceTime session with one of my friends, hi Josh, who I haven't talked to in a really long time. And, you know, we were just talking about a bunch of stuff and catching up and things like that. And it's just kind of insane how much time has passed. Like, how a year has fucking gone by. Sorry. I mean, it's like I never really swear on these podcasts, but that was so genuine. Like, I could not say that. Like, if you're my grandma listening to this, grandma, come on. We're all adults here, okay? And if somebody is letting their godforsaken child listen to this podcast, that is on you and not me. Like, I never claim to be family friendly. I never claim to be like appropriate. So this is up to the viewer discretion. But yeah, you guys, it has been a real long time. And talking to someone who you haven't talked to in a long time and just catching up is a very strange sensation, especially when you know that you're probably not going to see them in the near future. And to give you some context, like Josh and I, when things were normal, we had offices in the music department, right? So in the music building, everybody gets a little office, and you have office mates, and they're all kind of next to each other, so you're bound to have neighbors. Me and Josh were office neighbors. So we would literally see each other all the time, and we would run into each other all the time. I would hear him practicing, he would hear me practicing. We were just constantly like in a state of interacting. So to not see someone for such a long time and just kind of not be able to like have those little conversations in the middle of the day, or like, you know, be like, what are you doing here so early in the morning, or blah blah blah, like having those seemingly meaningless interactions on the surface, I will never take that for granted ever again. And if I do, smite me. Okay? Just smite me. That's also something I wanted to talk to you guys about that reminds me. So basically, I've been dealing with some people who I feel as though, hold on, I'm going to turn this down because they're talking and we don't need two people talking at the same time. I've been dealing with some people who I guess like don't have the same understanding of like the vibes in the room that I do. Okay, let me explain. So when I'm in a room with people, it feels like it's my duty to the room and my duty to everyone there and to myself that I create an atmosphere where other people feel comfortable, other people don't feel awkward, other people don't, you know, feel like I'm doing anything to make them upset, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I know that's not my, not my purpose. I shouldn't have to do that. It's not my job to make people comfortable, but I do that. And for some reason, different strokes for different folks. Not everybody feels that way. So sometimes I interact with people who decide that they don't care if I feel uncomfortable when I'm around them. They don't care if I get my feelings hurt because of the way that they act. They don't care, how their actions will affect others. And that's kind of spooky, don't you think? Like, don't you think that's kind of messed up? Like, specifically also in Zoom settings. Like, I know we're all, like, zoomed out to the max. Like, there's no question that we all hate Zoom and everything sucks on Zoom. But don't you think that, like, if you were in a Zoom room full of people who were all in the same position as you, right? And you're all just hanging out, and everybody's doing what they need to do, wouldn't you want to, like, make it a comfortable and, like, safe environment for people to, like, be normal and be sociable and, even bare minimum, just, like, be able to talk to someone even just for a couple seconds? Does this make any sense? Like, I just hate awkward silence. And I hate the idea that people think that, you're not obligated to say something to someone when they're in a room with you. Like, you're okay to just, like, stare at your phone or your device or whatever, or, put your microphone on mute, put your camera on off. Like, is that what we're coming to? Like, I'm kind of spooked because I do see it a lot in the generation below me. Like, I'm technically on the cusp of millennial and Gen X. Like, I was born in 95, so I think that's the cusp. But I'm going to turn the music up now. But still, I think that the younger generation, rightly so, feels like they can not feel pressure to do things. Like, they don't feel the societal pressure to, like, fit any molds, or, they're very free, they're very woke, which is good. But then, like, the older generation, like, of the millennials, like, who are now in their 30s or whatever, they're starting to get, like, begrudged towards Gen X, and, like, they're starting to get all cranky, and I'm like, dude, that's not the way either. Like, get a grip on yourself. Stop trying to, like, be all cranky towards Gen X. Like, it's not a big deal. Just chill out. Like, I think we all want the same thing is what I'm getting at. Like, I think in the grand scheme of things, we all just want to have a good time. Is that not correct? Like, do you not want to have a good time? Because I think you do. So, I don't know. I just get very frustrated with social situations where people can't read the room and people can't, like, say something or be like, you know, say what needs to be said. You know, give somebody that moment of security. Don't make someone feel uncomfortable. Like, why? From both sides of this spectrum, like, both Gen X and millennials. Like, don't make people feel uncomfortable with excessive small talk, but also don't make people feel uncomfortable with blatant silence and not even giving them the time of day. Like, no eye contact, no nothing. Hello? Like, way to make me feel like a non-human. Like, way to make me feel like I'm not worth your presence, or like I'm not worth anything to you. So little that you can't even, like, turn and look at me when I enter a room. Like, ugh. And trust me, I am the world's biggest hater of small talk. I think it's so silly. I think it's so ridiculous. But that's why I constantly strive for more meaningful conversations than small talk. Like, I will be that oversharer. I will be that person who will say something just to, like, big overstep the side or the small talk. Like, I will sidestep the small talk so fast. I just want to talk about real stuff. I don't care about silly things. Like, I don't want to talk about that. I will ask you, like, you know, how's your application for that summer program going? Or, like, hey, did you, you know, get that audition that you were talking about? Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, ugh, the weather is so yuck. Yeah, politics is crazy right now. Ew. Like, nobody cares about that stuff. Come on. I want to talk about crazy stuff. I want to talk about controversial things in, like, music and deep conversations. Like, I'd rather talk about people's most obscure interests that I have no knowledge of. I would rather talk about the most obscure things than not talk at all, and also not talk about, like, small talk stuff. I don't know, you guys. Is this making any sense? I know I said I would talk about my synesthesia today, but I honestly don't want to get into it because it's such a huge can of worms. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow. Oh, you hear those drums? You hear that? You hear that kit? John Bacon taking a solo? You probably can't hear it. Sorry, you're gonna have to go and watch it yourself. Oh my god. Okay, you guys. I am going to go. I think maybe I'll make some dinner. Maybe I think I have a can of soup. Is that... I feel like I only eat soup when I do this podcast, and I do it every day. So does that mean I eat soup every day? Oh my god. I promise you I don't eat soup every day, although I did make butternut squash soup yesterday, and I did have miso soup the day before, and also I'm probably gonna have some minestrone soup tonight, because I don't feel like making anything else. Listen, I'm a huge soup girl. Like, I cannot tell you enough how much of an advocate I am for soup as a meal. Soup is so versatile, okay? Obviously, you're not going to have any sweet soups. That's gross. Savory foods are just better. Sorry, you're an adult now. We don't care about candy from the Dollar Tree anymore. Nobody wants those gross gumballs in the gumball machine that are going to give you a headache because they're like the size of a quarter and they've been sitting in there for 3 years. Nobody wants that anymore. You're an adult. You like savory foods now, okay? Sweet foods are for children. Candy is for children. If you want something sweet, you can have a piece of 85% cacao dark chocolate with your glass of red wine at night. Okay? That's it. Savory foods are just better. That's why soup is ideal. Because you can get, the sensation of eating something really hot. That's really iconic for me. I love that. I love scalding my esophagus. I don't know why. I just like it super, super hot. Lukewarm simply will not do. Right off the boil, baby. Like, I am sipping that right off the boil. And we are getting right into it. And there's just so many things you can put in soup. And it's so hard to mess up soup. Soup can be so versatile in its flavor palettes. You can make it super spicy. You can make it super savory. It can be really creamy. It can be really full of, ingredients like vegetables or noodles or whatever. It could also be really thin. It could be like a real light soup. It can be really hearty, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. So don't come for me for eating soup literally every day of my life. Okay? Because it's just fine. I'm just gonna become a bowl of soup soon. If only. Anyway, let's read. Oh, I guess the concert's over. That's cute. Bye. All right, you guys. Who do we have? If this is your first episode, why? Why are you here? Why? But if you are, and you're here, bless your heart, welcome. Welcome to our little family of 12 people who we all get together every day. We listen to the podcast together. We listen to me just go on and on and on about nothing because I feel like y'all are here for me and I appreciate the fact that you take me on days like this when I just have so much to say and not a lot to say at the same time. And then you'd also take me on days when I feel like I have like the most profound, dramatic, engaging material. Like you take me both ways, which is really, I very much appreciate it. But anyway, this is one of the days which I don't have a lot going on, and every day on the podcast, if you're new, every day we do a segment called Minute Sketches of Great Composers, where we just read about a bunch of dead white guys, and we take all of this info with a grain of salt, because, you'll see. Okay. Not to be rude, but I think we're gonna skip this guy. Okay, maybe we shouldn't, because I just read something in there that made me laugh out loud, so maybe we won't. Okay, fine, we'll read it. Okay, if you know who this composer is, let me know. His name is Victor Herbert. Never heard of him. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna get shamed in the comments for not knowing who Victor Herbert is, but I kind of wanted to skip to who's next because I got a peek, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna read about Victor. So here we go. His subtitle is He Composed by the Yard and All Good. Born 1859, died 1924. By birth an Irishman, he educated by a German, by adoption an American, by temperament a Bohemian. That is Victor Herbert, cellist, bandleader, composer of light operas, the playboy of Broadway. That's what made me laugh out loud. What kind of sentence is that? Come on, girl. He was the indubitable grandson of that Samuel Lover, Irish patriot and artist with whom the Herbert grandchildren spent their early years after the death of their own father. When, later, their mother married a German doctor, Victor was sent to the gymnasium at Stuttgart, where, through an enforced performance on a piccolo in a solo orchestra, his musical talent was discovered. Not long thereafter, he became so proficient with the cello that he was engaged for the orchestra of Eduard Strauss, of the Waltz King family, to play under such great guest orchestra conductors such as Liszt, Saint-Saëns, Delibes, and Brahms. While playing at the Stuttgart Opera, he studied composition and met Therese Forrester, a Viennese prima donna, a find of Walter Damrosch, the new assistant to the Grau director of Metropolitan. Since the beautiful Forrester would not go to America without her affianced Victor Herbert, Damrosch had to engage him also. In his first year's residence in the United States, he was a member of various orchestras and quartets, and the conductor of the Pittsburgh Symphony, but when he accepted the baton of the 22nd Regiment, known as Gilmore's Band, he definitely broke with some serious music. Perhaps this was well, for his light operas will probably live in the musical repertoire of this country for far longer than any of his other compositions, even one of his serious operas, Natoma, produced at the Metropolitan Opera House. If the gay 90s were gay, it was largely due to the operettas of Victor Herbert, who composed by the Yard and All Good. That quote is so bizarre. Each is somebody's favorite. The Wizard of the Nile, Babes in Toyland, Mademoiselle Modiste, The Red Mill, The Madcap Duchess, The Only Girl, Naughty Marietta, and all the rest. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I have not heard of a single one of those operettas. Maybe it's just because we don't really do operettas, but sorry, I don't know. Am I being mean? Like, it was in the midst of intense living, composing, conducting, rehearsing, relishing the good food and drink that he suddenly collapsed on May 26, 1924, leaving a host of colorful memories. The composer standing at his high desk like a clerk in an English counting house, the bon vivant in frock coat and topper, circling the, quote, great thirst belt of New York, end quote, his 250 pounds resplendent in red and gilt uniform, leading his band up Fifth Avenue or playing dance music at the Mrs. Bradley Martin's famous balls, picture which will endure as long as his operettas, quote, with the whistle in them, end quote. What the actual hell? I'm sorry. Like, this entry made me mad. Ugh, we should have skipped it. We should have skipped that one. Ugh, God, I knew it. I wish I didn't see that Playboy thing, because I literally knew it. I knew we should have skipped it. I don't know any of those operettas. If you can tell me down below that you were like, oh yeah, you were reading them off, and I know that one. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. The Wizard of the Nile. Yep. Know it. The Red Mill. Yep. Definitely can know it. With the whistle in them. That's the last thing. Oh God. I'm sorry. I hope this dude's like spirit doesn't come to haunt me because I'm so upset at his entry. He didn't write it, so it's not his fault. But like, I think they're so hyped up about this guy because this was written, this text, this book was written in the 30s, right? The 1930s. And the way that they were like, what did they say? The gay 90s, like the lively, the happy 90s, as in like the 1890s. Like, they're referencing that time and that whole era, like the gay 90s, was due to operettas. Like, that's why people were like killing it. They were loving operettas. They were like living for it. That was like their reason for enjoyment, or it was popular music back then. But oh my God, it's kind of crazy how they just disappeared. The whole genre. Like, it just transformed into musical theater. It didn't like stay. You know, musical theater evolved so quickly. The lifespan of it, like, when you think about modern musical theater, like Dear Evan Hansen and Hamilton and like not even things like older shows like Little Shop or Bye Bye Birdie or the classic music theory, or oh my god, the classic musical theater era stuff, like that was happening in the 50s, like when Music Man was happening and when Carousel was popular. Like, that is so much closer to operetta than anything. But even then, like, it was transformed at that time. Like, think about how different even Gilbert and Sullivan is from this stuff, like, happening in the 1890s. You know, like, oh my god, it's just so crazy to me. Music history is super fascinating to me, and I find thinking about timelines and thinking about the evolution of things, it just makes me want to write a paper. And if that makes me a loser, fine. Fine. I don't care. Like, if that makes me a nerd, then it looks like I'm in the right field, because I want to write a paper about that. I want to write a paper about the timeline from the gay 90s until, you know, now. Like, I love that. I think that's amazing. I think that so many people, like, the fact that I don't know the names of all of these operettas, the fact that I'm unaware of all of these operettas. The only one that kind of jumps out to me is Babes in Toyland. But yeah, dude, honestly, all the other ones, none of them jump out. And I don't recognize this man's name, Victor Herbert. Dang it. Now I'm going to have to look all these things up. This is the problem. This is the issue with being in an academic field and wanting to know more about things, is you have to actually seek them out and figure it out when you don't know something. And now I must know. So that's what I'm going to go do. I'm probably going to listen to some of these. Maybe I'll listen to the one that I'm kind of thinking that I might know, Babes in Toyland. I don't know, dude. I'm going to do it. I need to know. If you know any of those operas, I'm going to read them again. Or operettas. Wizard of the Nile, Babes in Toyland, Madame Modiste, The Red Mill, The Madcap Duchess, The Only Girl, Naughty Marietta, and that's all they give us. But, like, if you know any of those, let me know down below which one I should watch, because I really am, like, interested in this now. I'm invested. All right, it's about 9:30 and I need to exit. Need to make some soup, and I'm going to get myself together here. Just going to get myself all together, put it in a backpack. Take all my everything, getting it all together. If you enjoyed this hot mess of a podcast, bless your little heart and subscribe if you want. I don't know why you would want to, but if you do, go ahead. If you want to leave a comment, I would really appreciate it, because I like suggestions and I like to have conversations with people. That's why I do this podcast every single day. If you subscribe, you can get notified that I post if you hit the bell notification. If you wanna, doesn't really matter to me. I appreciate you being here either way. You can like this video if you feel so compelled. And also, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night whenever you happen to be listening to this. Thank you so much for being here. I always love having a good old-fashioned chat, even if it's about nothing at all. Because sometimes you still need to talk even when you don't have that much to say, because socializing during a pandemic is hard to come by. And clearly, when all of my Gen X friends don't want to talk to me because I want to have a conversation, I want to have a chat, and they're all like, nah, girl. I'm like, thank you. I love you. Love you so much. See you later. Bye. All right. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Love you, mean it. Bye.